Hello, hello, everybody. It is I, Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and here today on the Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker Patch 6.0 website, because we got some theory crafting. Yes, I too enjoy a bit of theory crafting from time to time. I did predict freaking Reaper, kinda. And I had a theory a couple months ago about the zone order of Endwalker. I didn't think that the moon was going to be the final zone. A lot of people didn't either, but they expected it to be like moon and then like center of the moon. I thought differently. I thought it's going to be something like we go to Sharlayan, then maybe Radz-at-Han, Fandaniel, and then we do something like go to Garlemald, then the Sky Zone, then the moon, come back, over to Sharlayan, to Labyrinthos, and then to the center of the world. Because I am convinced the final zone of Endwalker, at least for 6.0, will be the center of the world. And the new story, the new updates to this website have almost given me a sense of satisfaction, if you will, or a sense of, yeah, this is what it is. I think I nailed it on the head of this one here. Let's read and continue forth. Okay, story here, yeah. We're also going to come back to this. Remind me, despite the fact this is a video, to circle back to this. Yet shadowed by their triumph in the first, the warrior of light and scions of the seventh dawn are home at last. An even greater calamity that refulgent oblivion has been building in their absence. However, a second advent of the final days. Should all despair, the myriad conflicts that now ravage the land cannot but foretoken an end to life in the source. Take heart in the faith of those who walk beside you and journey ever higher to the very stars above. We will circle back to this, because I have a theory about Fandaniel as well. We got multiple theories in this video. Get your lore hats on. We're going in. Now, see here. They show three zones here. We know of a couple more. We have the moon, which is down here, Lamentorum. I believe there's also another area here as well, with a crashed ship or something. And the two cities. We have Radz-at-Han, Old Sharlayan, and the three zones here. Labyrinthos, Garlemald, and Fandaniel. Labyrinthos being the interesting one. Deep below the streets of Old Sharlayan lies a vast, subterranean environment created as a repository for tomes and treatises on every subject imaginable, gathered from all corners of the world. To protect the priceless and irreplaceable, the climate of Labyrinthos is etheologically regulated. To me, the most interesting zone in Endwalker so far is by far Labyrinthos. And there's also this I'm also suspecting is another zone here. I'm assuming going to Garlemald, then go to this place to go to the moon and come back. But Labyrinthos, as was just confirmed here, beneath the old streets of Sharlayan, Old Sharlayan, is below Sharlayan. It wasn't like some people suspected it was not on the moon. Now let's keep going. Shout out to the Akasoja and the Luporets. The freaking elephant bros look awesome. We have Anima as well, who I have a couple of theories on, but it's mainly just grabbing at straws for that one, so I don't know. I feel like he's either a primal summon or he's a final beast. It's one of the two, I think. I think that's pretty safe to say as well. He is the big one. Bet you didn't think it would tie in to the raid, because we got some actual information about Pandemonium, outside of the fact that we have La Habrea right here. Far beneath the ground upon which mortals tread, steeped in darkness, deep as starless night, ancient power lies dormant, too hungry, too brutal, too monstrous. What cannot be controlled must be contained. Here in Pandemonium. Dare you make the descent? That, to me, narrows it down. Far beneath the ground upon which mortals tread. Unless they are being like Fivehead and actually mean, oh, we walked on the moon during the main story quest, so sure, it's under the moon. I feel that this lends credence to my theory that the final zone of Endwalker is the center of the world, or at least a subterranean zone beneath Labyrinthos, near the center of the world. Maybe they don't call it center of the world, but it'll be something like that. And to me, Pandemonium is very interesting because I think the raid takes place there. I think it takes place in the center of the world, and I think it is there as a direct consequence of the main story quest. Kind of like how Eden was a follow-up kind of to the events of 5.0, I think Pandemonium will be a follow-up kind of to the events of 6.0. And what I mean by this is I don't think that the center of the world is vacant. I think there is something there, maybe like a Lavos or something like the end of Final Fantasy IX. There's some kind of creature in the center of the world that I do think we'll deal with in 6.0. Because I think the Zodiac and Hydaelyn fight is a fake-out. I think we have to deal with whatever caused the end of days and is in the center of the world. And maybe we defeat him, maybe not. And if we don't defeat him, I think we defeat him in Pandemonium. That's my theory. We also have to bear in mind they're showing La Habrea here. So maybe La Habrea shows up, maybe he's a boss fight, something along those lines. Also very particular to note, you only see half his mask. I don't know what that means particularly, but I do think it's worth noting that they didn't just show his entire mask. So what I think is, one of two things can happen here. Either Pandemonium is the location in which the final boss of Endwalker resides, and we have to go in there first during Endwalker's MSQ to defeat it, or we draw him out, or we draw it out of Pandemonium. Or when you defeat this creature and like the residual energy or something opens this rift, or like the creature was acting like a plug, and once you remove the plug, all this darkness is spilling out. I think it'd be something kind of like that. And that's how I think Pandemonium will come into play. Because they showed us no landscape whatsoever for Pandemonium. They did for Eden. Remember, we saw that little budding plant. So we at least saw something. We had like some kind of idea of a location. For Pandemonium, we just have nothing. They're just showing us La Brea in front of this just pitch blackness. Unless there's some kind of like light rating from behind them. So I think they're being very particular here with this image, and that it takes place in the center of the world. Not in the moon. Because there was a theory going around that Pandemonium was in the center of the moon. I don't think it is. I think it's in the center of the world itself. So yeah. And because of this, far beneath the ground upon which mortals tread, I don't think they'll pull Coils of Bahamut, where we only go there during the freaking raid here. I think we go there, or at least to the center of the world, during the MSQ. So yeah, the existence of Pandemonium gives credence to the idea that we're going to the center of the world. Ergo, I fully believe now my theory of the zone order. In that we deal with Thavnir, and we may go to Old Sharlayan, but not Labyrinthos. We then go to Garlemald, then the Sky Continent, go to the moon, come back, go to Labyrinthos, and then the center of the world. But they did say something in a recent interview that intrigued me. It got my theory crafting blood flowing. Is that specifically at level 83, we will go to a place that we will question, we're already going here? That intrigued me. Because to me, at first, it felt very obvious that they were hinting that, oh, we're already going to the moon? I think what they were actually referring to was Garlemald. I do not think that they were trying to confirm that the moon was we were going to the moon at level 83. I think what they meant was, you're going to have this feeling of, hey, are we going through this a bit too quickly for the levels? Like, at level 83, we're already probably in Garlemald. Because I do think level 83 we're in Garlemald, right? Because realistically, with my zone order theory, we go to Sharlayan, maybe. Or we go to Fandaniel to get to Sharlayan, one of the two. And then we go to Garlemald. That's not a lot of XP. Unless Fandaniel is just freaking packed, apparently. Maybe. Maybe it is. Or maybe we go to Labyrinthos, like the first... Remember how they did the peaks in Stormblood? Where you went to, like, the top half... Like, the northern half of the peaks, and then you... In the first half of Stormblood, and then you went to the southern half, on top of the cliff, at the end of Stormblood. Maybe they do something like that with Labyrinthos, where you go to, like, a section of it at the very beginning, and then you leave, and then later on in the expansion you come back to do the other bit. They could do something like that with Labyrinthos. I'll leave that door open. But I do think level 83 will go into Garlemald. And then we go to this island place to be able to get to the moon for Mar Lamentorum. We discover something where I think the theory that's going around that this is where Venat hanged out, I think that's pretty likely. Like, it's either Venat or it's Elidibus, because Elidibus spent a lot of time on the moon. And he was the only Ascian that we saw that was on the moon, I believe. So it's either we're going to go through, like, Elidibus' like, memoirs or something. Or, like, something Elidibus wrote down. Or this was, like, where Venat chilled. Then we come back, or, like, we realize something's going on the moon. We find some secret, and we're like, we gotta get back to Sharlayan. They know something. Go back to Sharlayan, go back to the other side of Labyrinthos, and then you go to the center of the world. I think that's the zone order, and everything I'm hearing coming out of Square Enix and from the writing team, and from this website itself, is lending credence to that, and is reinforcing my confidence in that zone order theory. Especially when you take that into consideration with Pandemonium. Now, maybe it's just a coincidence, and maybe Pandemonium, they're actually trying to be like Fivehead here and actually mean the moon. Maybe that's right. Maybe. I just think it's more likely, not confirmed or 100% or anything like that, I think it's just more likely that Pandemonium is in the final zone of Endwalker, and I think that final zone of Endwalker is the center of the world. Now, I did say I had two theories for you. Because I didn't mention... By the way, I think we all know this is Venat, right? Like, at the top of this poster here. I think we all agree. Let me show my cursor. It should capture it. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, see? I'm pretty sure we all in agreement that this is Venat. Right? Okay, I don't need to draw on this. I think this is a giveaway that everybody's ignoring. What did Fandaniel say? He wanted everybody dead. And then at the very end of it, he wanted himself dead. He said that was his intention. I think that was a fake out. Because they also said that Endwalker is going to make us question our definition of hero. What does it mean to be a hero? It's going to address that topic. Cool, I like that. What the heck are they referring to about that, though? Because the Warrior of Light had that before. It's called the Dark Knight Job Quests. But if they're not referring to the Warrior of Light with that, maybe they're referring to a character like Alphino, or Alize, or the other Scions, and maybe they are. Maybe they are. I think they're talking about Fandaniel. Because, I agree, I think he's the crazy villain that is stereotypically in almost every Final Fantasy game. I agree. I also think he has a reason. Because I don't think they want to end this Hydaelyn and Zodiac era, or this entire arc, with generic Final Fantasy tropes. I think they want to buck that trend. I think they want to carve their own niche into that. And how I think they're going to do that is by giving Fandaniel some reason. Not a sympathetic one, really, but just so we understand a little bit about his psyche. I don't think he'll be as sympathetic as Emmett Selk or as Elidibus. What I think it is, though, is that he doesn't want to kill everybody. Because if he did, why would this be his methodology? Because remember, when the original Final Days happened, not everybody died. In fact, you could argue even more life was spawned, or came about because of it, because you now had 14 worlds to have life on. So if your motivation was to extinguish life, why would you go about this way? That would probably just result in more shards being formed. To me, I think it's a fake out. What I think Fandaniel's motivation is the generation of these shards. I think he wants to bring... It's going to be one of the two. He either wants to sunder everything, or... There's three options here, right? He wants to either sunder everything, or he was originally from one of the shards that got repurposed and got rejoined into the source, and he wants to bring it back. Or, sorry, I had an AFK for a little bit there. So my third theory, or the third possibility, I think, for Fandaniel's motivation is that Shadowbringers was wrong. Or at least Emmett Selk was wrong. He either lied, or he was just unknowing. And that the original form of the star wasn't just a singular source. It was actually the 13 shards and the source. And that was the original. That was how it was supposed to be. But then they all got joined into one. Then you had the Armorot era. But then you had the Final Days, splitting them all apart again. And I think Fandaniel could want that. To go back to how it was originally supposed to be, and be multiple shards instead. I think that could be a fake out. That could be one of the twists they have in store for us. If it's true, could be wrong. But if they go about that route with the story of Endwalker, I wouldn't mind it. It would be surprising, besides the fact I just predicted it. But it would also be an interesting spin-off from Elidibus' motivations, to where Elidibus and Emmett, they just want their world and friends back. Fandaniel could be like, I want to split all these shards away from the source and bring it back to how it was. Because just killing everybody doesn't necessarily line up with the Final Days. It does from a surface level, and maybe that's just like Fandaniel's role, and it's like, hey, I just want to kill everybody, let's just do the Final Days again, because that was kind of cool. Maybe that's how they go about it, and they just don't give Fandaniel that much emphasis, in which case, cool. I'm fine with that possibility as well. But if they go the route of making Fandaniel a more of a major character in the story of Endwalker, then I think one of those possibilities I just laid out is likely. So yeah, those are my thoughts, my opinions, my theories for Endwalker's main story. Hope you all enjoyed that. Maybe raised some questions for you, piqued your curiosity, if you will. I'm going to have a link to this website in the description down below, if you want to go check it out. Or you can just type in the URL at the top of the screen there. Yeah. Endwalker's going to be pretty cool. And if I'm wrong about everything, cool, surprise me, I'm fine with it. I win either way. Either I'm right and I can gloat on the internet, or we get a cool story either way. Because I trust it's going to be a good story anyway, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you all for tuning in. If you have your own theory, your own interpretation of the information I just laid out for you, please leave a comment in the description down below. Not the description. Leave a comment down below with your theory. I would love to read them. Maybe we can do a bit of theory crafting as well, and see if we can like bring our brains together and find out a really good theory. Maybe follow up this video with that. So thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. If you liked the video and you want to see more content, subscribing to that channel really supports me. And even leaving a like and even just watching the video, that really supports me. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Have a great day. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.